Hello and welcome to Science. Today we're going to be tackling the rather tricky subject of brain tumours. However, I'm hoping that there's going to be quite a lot of hope in this as a species we're pretty clever with trying to deal with them. So just as a quick reminder, a tumour is a cancer, and cancer is where the body cells divide too quickly. So they form a lump which continues to grow as the tumour develops. So the quickly dividing cells don't go through any rest period, so they just keep dividing and dividing and dividing. When this happens in the brain, it poses several problems. I mean, it poses problems everywhere in the body, but in the brain, some specific problems. As the tumour grows, there's no space for it to grow into. Your skull can't quickly expand. So it increases the pressure on different parts of the brain and stops them working. Now, when different parts of the brain are damaged and stop working, personality can change, your regulation of your own body can change. Anything the brain does can be compromised. So it's really important that it's dealt with as quickly and as efficiently as possible. But that's easier said than done. So the first thing is to find out exactly where it is, and CT scans can be useful for this. I'm just going to show you a quick one now. So here we see a slice of a CT scan. It's part of it, and you can see at this point where the brain tumour is. It's marked with an arrow on the diagram. Knowing where it is and dealing with it are two very different things, unfortunately, because this brain tumour is fairly obviously in the middle of the brain. It's quite big, so there's a lot of things that need to be done to try and save this person. Now, there are three main methods of trying to remove the tumour. The first one is to physically cut it out, which can be very effective. However, it involves brain surgery. It involves digging through the brain and potentially destroying healthy parts of the brain to remove the unhealthy tumour. When the tumour is much deeper, we have to resort to different techniques. So radiotherapy and chemotherapy. Deal with chemotherapy first. Chemotherapy drugs are poisons to the body. They target cells that divide quickly, i.e. cancer cells, but also other cells in the body that divide quickly. Now, your body is quite good at dealing with poisons in terms of it tries to get rid of them. Now, from the structure of the brain we did earlier on, you'll hopefully remember about the blood-brain barrier. It's a very specialized structure that stops things getting into the brain from the bloodstream. Now, unfortunately, that renders a lot of our chemotherapy drugs not particularly useful, because to get across the blood-brain barrier isn't easy for molecules at the best of times, let alone ones that are designed to kill cells. The next kind of orbit that we're going to have a look at is MEO, which is the medium Earth orbit. So rather like the low Earth orbit, again, it is around the equator, but it's a bit higher up. So it takes longer for it to go around the Earth. And that leaves us with radiotherapy. Radiotherapy kills cells directly by focusing a high energy beam of electromagnetic radiation, gamma rays usually, at the cells that you want to kill. Now, in this case, it's a tumour cell, but the electromagnetic radiation still has to pass through the living tissue. So you don't just use a single beam, you use multiple beams, and the centre of it is focused on the cells that you want to destroy. So you'll have multiple beams of gamma radiation, and where they all come together is where it has its biggest effect. So that's focused on exactly where the tumour is. Hopefully that destroys it. One of the problems with using gamma radiation is it can cause cancers. So none of these methods are without their risk. And as with everything in medicine, it's always a toss-up between the benefits of performing the intervention and the negatives of not performing the intervention, or the negatives of performing the intervention as well. So an exam style question could be something like, describe 2 reasons why chemotherapy drugs don't work properly to kill tumours in the brain. So it's a descriptive question. So you've just got to say what those 2 problems are. You don't need to explain why. But if you can, it's always good to take your knowledge to the next level. So one of the problems is getting to the site, because there's the blood-brain barrier in the way. And another potential problem with using them is that you want them to destroy specific cells that are alive, but not other cells that are alive. So differentiating between those is very difficult with the drugs that we have. Cheers.